Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to the summit track today. We have Skyscanner with us. You may have heard them from the IT keynote, so we're super excited they're here today to talk to you more in detail about how they do fix bugs through service data and JIRA. We actually just completed a full case study with them, so there's a whole video and more details to check out after this presentation. Without further ado, I'm going to welcome Michael and Laura to the stage. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming along. As Caroline was saying, I am Laura Haynes. This is Michael Hall. We are from Skyscanner. We are a world travel search engine. And today we're going to talk to you about being better, faster, and stronger by improving the collaboration between developers and IT. So for the agenda today, we're going to quickly cover off some of the very fast scaling that we've done at Skyscanner, the processes we've tried to improve, the fixes that we've tried to make better and faster and get things resolved, and then the overall strength that that's brought to the collaboration in the company. So scaling at Skyscanner. So quick introduction to what Skyscanner is. A world travel engine who we have 40 million users every month. We have 30 different languages available, which always adds complexity and lots of interest. It means we are a global company. We basically deliver thousands of search results every second to our users. And we are the #1 flight search engine in Europe, and we're growing quite rapidly. So our global expansion means hopefully we'll be #1 in the world very soon. And when we put these slides together, we had 700 employees. We're now at 750, and we're growing even more. So since its establishment, since we were founded in 2003, you can see kind of briefly from this diagram, we've expanded into Europe, APAC, Americas. We have 10 offices around the world now. So we have in places like Beijing and Singapore, Barcelona, London, Miami. And up to date, we've done a lot of acquisitions of companies. We have done collaborations with companies like Yahoo, and we are now powering MSN travel as well.
So as we've grown, the products that we offer have changed as well. We started with Flex, we've added hotels, car hire, and also B2B, which is how we power things like MSN. So the way that we've structured the company matched that growth. A lot of the teams were mainly in the Flex area, and we had teams in hotels, car hire, B2B. So that meant things like roadmaps, plans, risks, the assumptions and issues that happened were somewhat siloed off into those product verticals, if you like. So we did things like trying to put program boards above that to try and sort of see those dependencies, see those bottlenecks, and try and work to alleviate them. But to be honest, it wasn't really working for us anymore, and we didn't really rate it very highly. So we had to find something better.
Yeah, so as Michael was saying, really wasn't working. We practically slowed down to a stop. There was so many dependencies, which kind of led us to adopt, thanks Spotify, the Spotify squad and tribe model. So we worked quite closely with them to figure out the best elements of that would work for us, and tweaked it to suit Skyscanner. The squads themselves are cross-functional small teams that take complete ownership of a tool or a process or a service. And they all work very well together, and as you can see, it gives them purpose, mastery, and autonomy. So that lent us to then scale the company again quite quickly. So we'd kind of come to this slowdown, we changed things around, improved all our processes, and now we have a lot more collaboration across all the teams, all the departments, and everybody's just working much better together.
So what we found when we started getting these squads set up is that the divergence in the tool set that we were using to manage tasks, manage issues, just manage work in general was quite different. So you'd have teams using Excel or Fogbugs, Trello, and of course teams using JIRA as well, which worked for them, but it meant a lot of duplication. If someone wanted to raise an issue with another team, it meant they'd have to have a record of it in their system like Fogbugs and also one in JIRA as well. which is just not a very good idea, not very scalable. So through a lot of work, especially from Laura, we helped each one of the squads move into what is now JIRA software. When we were doing it, it was JIRA and JIRA for Agile. And that's really increased that visibility into what everybody's doing. Everyone speaks the same language of the tasks that they're working on, and the duplication of work's just evaporated, so that's been really good for us. Faster fixes are, of course, very important to us. Like with so many companies, every second we have of downtime means we lose revenue, but also we lose in trust, and that's the same for all our internal tools as well. So if we're having outages with JIRA or with any other tools, the people that we work with, every time that happens, they might lose a little bit of trust in us to be able to do our job well. So it's really important that we get to them really quick. After we got JIRA as a standard, we still had people raising tickets to our old service desk. We had a portal. It was pretty rubbish. People didn't like using it. It was hard to navigate. So people found all sorts of fun ways to get time with IT. All the classic things like email, walk-ups, knowing someone by name. So they'd say, that guy helped me before, I'll go ask them again. And of course, if that guy's on leave, then they don't know what to do. So it was causing us a lot of problems. So as I said, the old service desk, it was not user-friendly. It was pretty ugly. And it was not scalable, and all these fantastic bullet points that you can see firing across. It wasn't very user-friendly. Because of all the different ways we're missing issues, I'm sure we don't have to go through all these, the dangers of having that kind of setup yourself. And also misfiled tickets meant we had a lot of backwards and forwards conversation trying to figure out what the actual problem was. So we decided to move over to JIRA Service Desk for a lot of the reasons that you've heard through the last 2 days in general. We had a lot of success with JIRA. We wanted to see if we could do the same thing with JIRA Service Desk. So that meant that, firstly, we had a portal that actually was nice to use. So it meant that when people were saying, hey, can I just get this fixed? Well, for us to say, oh, can you just raise a ticket, didn't feel so bad anymore. Because when we said that before, we knew they were going to go through a painful experience and not enjoy speaking to us very much. So now we had a good one that they could use. We were more comfortable asking for it, people to do it that way. And it meant people actually did. So we could have a rota for the support person that was dealing with the requests. They didn't have to know the person's name or anything. They just put it through the same process every time. People deal with it in a way that we could own and decide, and then pass that through into the different JIRA projects in this example to the right team so they could get the work done to fix the issues.
So after JIRA Service Desk was introduced, really have to emphasize the point here that the staff did love using it. And Atlassian have not paid me to say that. Yet. The fact is basically the tools we had beforehand were so painful that if people did see an issue or wanted to raise a request, they would almost just ignore it and just go, like, just forget about it. I'll put it up with my broken mouse. I won't bother telling anyone the fact that the website's down because they just hated going into this clunky tool. And now the staff love it. And again, sounds like I'm over-exaggerating, but we didn't have to do any formal training. We didn't have to do any documentation. We basically put it live and said to people, go start using it, and everybody jumped on it. We will struggle now to figure out how many people or how many tickets are not going through JIRA Service Desk because it's so wildly used. This means now that we can do triaging very easily. So as we were saying, one thing comes into a central location. We can figure out who needs to pick that up, where that needs to go. We have much better visibility on who raised what, the flow, the journey, the end resolution, all the comments and attachments, the usual things that you get the value of in JIRA. And reporting is a massive thing for us. So beforehand, and this was conversations we actually had with Atlassian, they were saying before JIRA Service Desk, what were your SLAs like? What was your resolution time like? What were your number of bugs? And we were going, no idea. Now we have very clear reporting. We have SLA statistics. We can now go to a team and discuss, oh, we saw last month you got through 20 bugs in 2 days, and this time we saw 100 come in. What's going on there? And we can have those conversations to try and improve things going forward and do the reporting that everybody loves to do so easily in JIRA. So how do we keep this going? How do we make sure that the staff continually find it easy and don't just get complacent with how they can raise the bugs? So we have a big red button that we put on all our internal tools. So like on our wiki pages, on our Skyscanner website when it's being viewed internally at the company, and on JIRA itself. So the staff can hit this one big button on the site, go straight to service desk, and easily fill in the fields they need to. We kept this going as well with some gamification, so something we like to call Skytrak. The staff are encouraged to raise bugs and write really good bugs. So we actually have Bug of the Week and Bug of the Month prizes. So the staff can do fantastic screenshots or find a really obscure bug. They can win things from stickers right up to a week's annual leave. And they get ranking as well. So they can get all the way up to Fleet Admiral.
So this is an example of one of our customer portals, what someone would see when they come to one of our service desks. So this example is our global availability and performance squad. We've shortened it to GAP for obvious reasons. So that's what they see. If you want to report a product issue, that's what you see. And hopefully you can figure out what you need to do at this page. If you can't, you've probably got bigger things to worry about than our site having an issue. So you can just hit flights, hotels, or car hire, whatever it is, and go through to the next page. As you can see, it's really clean and clear. There's nothing superfluous there. You can decide whatever you want to have, and only the stuff that's essential. Also, having many service desks helps with that, so you don't have to have one big cluttered desk where you have to sort of find your way through it to find the exact thing you want to raise. You can have multiple ones. Each one can be customized to make it make sense for whatever the request is that you're raising. So that's an example of what you'd see next. So in this case, we're going to raise a hotels bug. If you were at the talk, I think it was done at 11 o'clock about JIRA performance. It was a really good one. If you didn't see it, I'd definitely have a look at the slides. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the people that were presenting it. One of the things to make sure JIRA is going to run well is keeping a handle on the custom fields that you have within it. So one of the real nice features I like about Service Desk is that it lets you put a skin on those fields. So instead of having a description field and then if you wanted to change that, you have to have a new field, you can just change the name of it. You can change the help text on it per request type. So you can make it really tailored to whatever that person's trying to raise a problem on without having to put a whole bunch of extra custom fields in. The help text is really helpful as well, hence it's called help text, because it lets you prompt for the right data. So you can make sure you're giving everybody the opportunity at least to understand what the information is that you need. This is a shot from the agent side. So that's an example of, again, our global availability and performance queues. They keep them really short. They've only got a few. It's using JQL, so if you're using JIRA already, you're probably familiar with JQL, you can make them really flexible. And you can also make them dynamic. So in this case, because you're logged in, they know who you are. That sounds creepy, it's in a good way. So you can see mine. So there you go, I don't have to say, where's my name in the list, see what I've got. You can just see, those are mine, those are the rest of the teams. I know what I'm gonna work on, I know what the priorities are, and I know if anything new's come in. You can't quite see it on the slide, but just at the bottom there's a new queue button. So if you want to add anything new, it's as easy as just hitting that, giving it a name, and putting in some JQL as well. So it's really straightforward.
So in terms of how we use the tickets and move things around, I know a lot of people tend to raise bugs and then they might link them to duplicates within other teams or linked works. What we actually do is anything that's raised in Service Desk may stay in Service Desk right through to completion, but it might end up having to be required to work on and be triaged and sent down to one of the development engineering squads who don't have a service desk but have a JIRA project. So in this situation, we would just select to move the bug. So the benefit for us for doing that is the fact that the developers can get to see everything in the one place. So they can see the entire life of this JIRA issue, that it's come in through Service Desk. They can see who's dealt with it, who's commented on it, why it's in the end came to them. And then they can then decide, does it need a fast fix? Is it something we can just work into our backlog and put into maybe our sprint planning or however they choose to work? So the typical journey of a bug in JIRA, in Skyscanner, they initially are raised in Service Desk and they go straight to our gap squad. So they're just going to do a quick check to make sure it's not like a P1 issue. Is it something we need to get everybody on top of right now? Do we need to kick somebody out of their bed at 2 o'clock in the morning? Does it need to be fixed? If it's something that isn't completely urgent, it will then go downstream to triage. So this is a dedicated team we have of full-time members who make sure the bug is completely reproducible, make sure it's got all the correct information captured in it. Does it have the screenshots? Do we know what browser or app that it's been happening on? Do they need to go back to the person who raised it and get more information? And then these guys have the knowledge to know exactly what development squad that would then need to go to. So they'll then move the bug to that squad. They'll have some kind of process in place, whether it's a green flag person or a rota, to make sure that it's either picked up straight away, or again, the PO and the squad lead decide to work that into their backlog and get it fixed.
So for reporting, if you are using JIRA already, you probably know some of the dashboards that you can make, some of the widgets and gadgets that are available to do that reporting. So when you've got Service Desk as well, you have all that power to display your information through dashboards using JIRA. And that's, as it says right there, it's a tool for optimizing your workflow. As an example, we put a little label in for every request type that we get, and then you can really quickly just get a pie chart in this example to see what request types you're getting more of, which systems you're spending more time on, and you can also get things like this to show like how long things have been in certain statuses on each days, and it just gives you a window into how you're working and being able to optimize for that.
So obviously the reporting is fantastic, and if you're used to that in JIRA, then it's equally beneficial in Service Desk. But our end users also benefit too. So when I'm saying end users, I'm meaning our staff. So the fact is they can get email updates from any requests they've raised, any bugs they've logged. They are updated when the problem's fixed, and they're actually truly understanding the impact that they're having on our product. So they can see that they've made the effort to use this new tool that was so much easier before, to let someone know that there's a bug, there's something wrong, or they think there's something wrong, and then they can see the full journey of how that was resolved or prioritized. JIRA Service Desk also gives you the added benefit of when you're a user rather than an agent and you log in, you can very easily see all the requests and bugs and things that you've raised within Service Desk, within your portal. And you can also see any that anyone's added you as a participant upon, which is similar to being a watcher. So after implementing Skyscanner Service Desk, what have the results been so far?
Well, first one being 700 or a bit more now, happy employees using the Service Desk, and of course that's often the best indicator you've got that you've picked the right tool and that it's working for you. We get good feedback from people, but they just use it, and that's the best way we can see to make sure it's worked. Over the time we've been using it, we've had a 236% increase in the tickets that we've got. If you've been paying attention, which I'm sure you all are, you might say, well, that might be all taken from your growth. You've grown quite a lot in that time. It might be just more people. So one of the stats I really do like is the fact that the amount of tickets per person has increased by 50% over that time. You could also say at that one, what the hell have you done wrong? Because we've got twice more tickets coming through per person. So we take that to mean that we've firstly got, all those other channels are drying up. The people aren't using email so much. People aren't coming up, walking to us, just asking questions so much. But also it means because of the journey that Laura just described, people can see when they raise a bug, it actually gets acted on, and they can see the conversation that's going on with the developers, and they can see it then live on the site. So they come back and do it again because they can see they're having an impact on the product. With all of that, we've also been able to work towards becoming 44% more efficient. Of course, implementing a tool doesn't just allow that. It's not an out-of-the-box thing where you plug it in and you become 44% more efficient. It's been a lot of hard work from the teams to make it that good. But what the advantage we've found with Service Desk is it gives you the stats, it gives you the graphs and the window into how you work to be able to find where there are efficiencies to be made and then act on them and do it.
So basically, this has overall led to far stronger collaboration across everybody in the company, not just dev, not just IT, but all of our staff. So as we were saying before, typical journey of a bug, gap to triage to dev. In reality, was more like this. So the squads are talking to each other more. It might take more than one squad, as you know, more than one team to fix a problem. So the collaboration discussion was immense. But introducing Service Desk also meant that, something went wrong. Okay, so IT should be in there.
I could try and paint a picture with words if you like. There's two boxes either side of that with IT squads with more people in them and more arrows.
Disaster. So basically IT now fit into this ecosystem with everybody. The fact that they're now involved means complete collaboration, complete end-to-end. There's no longer the silos, there's no longer the brick walls between departments where people don't talk to each other, don't care or want to know what's happening in other areas of the business. And this has also led now to us actually rolling JIRA and JIRA Service Desk out to some of our business teams as well as our dev and IT teams. So this means we can now focus on individuals and interactions and are no longer limited by the tool. Lovely Agile principle for you there. But it really is true. We are completely focused on what's working, what's not working, what are the reports telling us, what is the process flow looking like, where can we make improvements and efficiencies and stop worrying so much about how clunky is the tool or how painful are the things that we're wanting to use. So this again means we can improve collaboration across the squads. So it's basically making sure we're all working towards the same goal. Everybody now understands the direction we're all trying to head in, and we all understand now we're all trying to work towards the same thing and not against each other, which sometimes can be an issue in completely siloed teams. And we're more focused on improving software. So kind of comes without explanation really, but what we mean is not only are the developers caring about the products they're developing, because that's why they're there, but all of our staff are caring, is there a bug? Is there an improvement that can be made? Is there something not quite right? How can we all make the products and the company better? And not get completely bogged down in just writing documentation on how to do things. It's all pretty self-explanatory now. So we can respond to change and continually improve going forward. Kaizen, Kaizen, Kaizen. Always looking for improvements. What can be better? How can we be better? How can we become the #1 travel engine?
So that's pretty much everything we were going to go through. So a few of the key takeaways from what we've found using JIRA Service Desk. For starters, you can grow while keeping the agility that you need to be able to react to change and learn about what reality is. We've opened up the collaboration between IT and IT, and dev, as well as IT and dev. We've also been able to better enable a feedback-driven culture by just taking away the friction of providing that feedback and acting on it. Using the statistics and the analysis, we've been able to define and optimize our process flows. And of course, best thing of all, we can just then forget about all the stuff we've just been talking about with the tools and focus on making really great software. So that's our details at the bottom there. What we've been talking through today is just the best we've found to fix some of the issues that we've come across. There may well be better ways, and some of you guys may well have found better ways, so we're really keen to speak to as many people as we can just to see how you're working with it, if we can pass anything to you, or if you can help us out as well. So please don't even hesitate to get in touch with Laura or myself using the details there. And thanks very much for coming along and listening to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Really informative presentation. So as a reminder, submit your questions for the mobile app, and we'll be moderating them. So the first question is, who is a part of a dev squad? So how do you decide who's in a squad? How is that really formulated or organized?
So we started off, we had quite a large amount of developers. We had separate design teams. We, to an extent, had already integrated a lot of our tests, so we don't have like separate QA teams. But it definitely came to a point where we realized we needed to have that cross-collaboration. So a typical squad, not that there's really such a thing, but a kind of more average squad would be maybe 3 developers, 1 or 2 testers, a UX designer, and then you would probably have a dedicated product owner as well for that squad.
So yeah, my next question is, do you have an email channel of support, and do you integrate this with the service desk?
So we kind of do. For each service desk, you can set up your own mail handler. So say I'm the business tool squad, we've got BTS or JIRA.bts@skyscanner.net. Don't email that with tickets, please. I mean, you can if you like, but we're probably not going to act on them through that. So you can just email into that, and then that creates a ticket as well. So you can set up the mail handlers per desk. So yeah, if the team itself wants to have that as a channel, you can do that.
So yeah, we do give the squads the option to be able to do that, but not many people do. think because Service Desk is so easy and everybody's so aware of each squad's process and how they all work, and people communicate so well in the company, that raising tickets via email is quite rare.
You mentioned that users are very happy with Service Desk. So how do you solicit the feedback?
We don't really have to. So with the old portal, people just didn't like it. So as soon as we changed it, we didn't really announce that we were changing it. They just came to hit Sky Services, which is the name of our support portal. They came to hit that and it was something new. So the amount of emails we got just saying, this is fantastic, thanks so much for doing it, it's way better than the old one. We didn't have to go around poking people to ask what they thought, they just came and told us.
Some of the feedback we did get was more kind of informal, so it was maybe conversations you were having and people would just drop in comments while you were talking with them. A lot of the business teams, rather than the tech teams, were more commenting on the fact that there was kind of back and forth. So maybe if they raised a bug, triage might spend a lot of time talking with them and trying to get more information. So that's why we then used that information to adapt the forms that we showed you there to make sure we had the help text and we were stating right from the get-go, this is what is required, or please include a screenshot to try and nip that in the bud and make sure that instead of having that continual back and forth and round, you got everything from the start, and that, again, fed back into people being happier.
Actually, there's the next few questions about the triaging, because people are very interested in that. How do you track when you move tickets between instances?
So what happens is when a ticket is created in triage, we have a field that is just a checkbox field. It automatically gets populated, but when it's moved, the field still exists, but it's hidden from everybody else. So they don't need to know that it's there, they don't care that it's there, but it means that the triage team can do reporting on any issue in any project in the company if it's got that checkbox filled in.
We also have a level above that for the Gap guys. They get a label put into any ticket that's raised through Gap. So if that moves into triage, that moves into the dev squad's project. Again, they can do a similar thing, just using a label.
So the next question is about why did you decide to move tickets between places instead of recreating a new ticket and linking them?
So it was just to kind of take away some of the effort, really. I know going forward, Atlassian are putting in some kind of automation so that things will automatically get closed off. But what we were finding was happening was a bug was being created. There was lots of valuable information within that. Then instead of moving it, a duplicate one was created in the relevant squad's project. To be able to see the other information, they would obviously have to click back into the other one to read that, so they might have missed some of the information. And then once the bug was actually resolved, you would then have to update 1 or 2 or 3 things and close them off. So obviously you can put a lot of automation around that, but to take away some of the effort, we just found it easier for us to just move the tickets through.
We might revise that, I guess, with the feature that we saw today, where you can just one-click create a linked issue. That might make it a fair bit easier, but we just found it quicker for that time around to do it that way.
But yeah, we continually kind of review the processes we have in place. So as you said, we might change that soon.
The next question is, what were you using before?
We were using Sharewell for the service desk. It might be better now. I don't want to badmouth Sharewell. I'm sure they're great.
But yeah, and in terms of all the other tools, it was Trello and Fogbugs and spreadsheets and Post-it notes and Word documents and
shouting.
You name it, we used it, and it definitely was not an easy process to try and get everybody onto JIRA initially, because it was one of those, oh, Laura, not another tool kind of moments. But once people started seeing the benefits and the more traction we got, the far easier it was. And now we have people approaching us saying, can you show us how to set up the best way for us to use JIRA?
Those are all the questions. Thank you so much for your time. And we have another presentation in 15 minutes about DevOps and SRE. So stick around if you want to see that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.